I will pass gigantic tax cuts for workers and keep their jobs here in the United States.
Billionaires and big corporations must pay their fair share in taxes.
Two leaders, two visions. Kamala Harris fights for equity, climate action, and expanded healthcare, while Donald Trump champions nationalism, economic growth, and border security. But which vision will shape America's future? In this video, we break down their core policies and the impact they could have on your life. You will decide yourself which leaders' policies will be best for you. We'll start with Donald Trump policies. A return to making America great again. First policy, tax cut.
We will cut your taxes even further. That's what built our economy.
Donald Trump's tax cuts were a key part of his economic policy, aiming to reduce taxes for both businesses and individuals to stimulate growth. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 significantly lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, encouraging companies to invest more in their operations. This move was intended to boost economic activity, create jobs, and make the U.S. more competitive globally. By reducing the tax burden on corporations, Trump hoped to spur investment, leading to increased hiring and higher wages for American workers. For individuals, the tax cuts introduced lower income tax rates across various brackets, allowing many families to keep more of their earnings. This increase in disposable income was expected to encourage consumer spending, which is a vital driver of the economy. While supporters praised the tax cuts for promoting growth and job creation, critics raised concerns about their long-term impact, arguing that they primarily benefited the wealthy and increased the national debt. The second policy, immigration.
Nearly 180,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records ordered deported from our country are tonight roaming free to threaten peaceful citizens.
Donald Trump's immigration reform centered on a tough approach, advocating for the completion of the border wall between the United States and Mexico. He argued that building a wall was essential for enhancing national security and preventing illegal immigration. Trump promoted the idea that a physical barrier would deter migrants from crossing the border and help reduce crime associated with illegal immigration. His administration allocated significant funding to continue construction efforts, emphasizing the need for stricter control over the U.S. border. Trump's immigration policy included plans to deport undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. He aimed to prioritize the removal of individuals with criminal records and those who posed a threat to public safety. The administration implemented stricter enforcement measures, such as increased raids and arrests of undocumented immigrants. The third policy, energy independence.
We're here today to usher in a new American energy policy, one that unlocks millions and millions of jobs and trillions of dollars in wealth. For over 40 years, America was vulnerable to foreign regimes that used energy as an economic weapon.
Donald Trump's policy for energy independence emphasized the need to expand oil, gas, and coal production to reduce reliance on foreign energy sources. He believed that increasing domestic energy production would not only bolster the U.S. economy, but also create jobs in the fossil fuel industry. Trump's administration rolled back numerous environmental regulations to facilitate the exploration and extraction of these energy resources. This approach included opening up federal lands and offshore areas for drilling, which he argued would lead to greater energy security and lower energy costs for consumers. In addition to oil and gas, Trump strongly supported the coal industry, advocating for its revival despite the growing emphasis on renewable energy sources. He aimed to protect coal jobs and promote the use of coal as a vital energy source in the U.S. economy. While supporters praised these policies for fostering energy independence and job creation, critics raised concerns about the environmental impacts and the long-term sustainability of fossil fuel dependence. The focus on expanding fossil fuel production sparked debates about climate change and the future of energy in America. The fourth, foreign policy.
We will help bring stability to the world. I was the first president in modern times to start no new wars. You know, we were the toughest, we were the most respected.
Donald Trump's foreign policy prioritized the strengthening of the U.S. military, emphasizing the need for a robust defense capability to ensure national security. He argued that a powerful military was essential for deterring threats and maintaining America's position as a global leader. Under his administration, there was an increase in defense spending, which included investments in advanced weaponry, modernization of the military, and enhancements to military readiness. Trump's focus on rebuilding the military aimed to reassure allies and project technologic strength to adversaries, reinforcing the United States' commitment to global security. In addition to military strength, Trump adopted a tough stance on China, viewing it as a significant competitor to U.S. interests. He criticized China for unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, and its growing influence on the global stage. Trump's administration implemented tariffs on Chinese goods to pressure China into negotiating better trade terms, asserting that these actions would protect American jobs and industries. This confrontational approach to China marked a shift in U.S. foreign policy, focusing on economic competition and strategic rivalry, while also raising concerns about escalating tensions between the two countries. Fifth, law and order.
There can be no prosperity without law and order. I am the law and order candidate.
Donald Trump's law and order policy emphasized a tough stance on crime, aiming to enhance public safety and restore trust in law enforcement. He advocated for increasing funding for police departments and empowering law enforcement agencies to take aggressive action against criminal activities. Trump often highlighted the need to address violent crime, particularly in urban areas, and proposed measures such as harsher penalties for offenders and promoting community policing initiatives. His administration sought to project an image of strength in combating crime, arguing that a decisive approach was necessary to protect citizens and maintain order in society. In addition to his focus on crime prevention, Trump placed a strong emphasis on border security as a critical component of his law and order agenda. He argued that securing the U.S. border was essential to combating illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and gang violence. This involved not only completing the border wall, but also increasing the presence of law enforcement at the border and enhancing surveillance measures. Trump's administration implemented strict immigration enforcement policies aiming to deter illegal crossings and maintain safety for American communities. His approach to law and order combined a commitment to police support with an aggressive stance on border security, resonating with voters who prioritized safety and national security. Now we're going to Kamala Harris. The first policy, economic equity.
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes. It is not right that teachers and nurses and firefighters are paying a higher tax rate than billionaires and the biggest corporations. And I plan on making that fair.
Kamala Harris's approach to economic equity emphasizes middle-class tax cuts as a means to provide financial relief and support for families. She believes that lowering the tax burden for middle-income earners can help them keep more of their hard-earned money, enabling them to invest in their households, pay for education, and contribute to local economies. By targeting tax cuts specifically at the middle class, Harris aims to address income inequality and ensure that economic growth benefits a broader segment of the population rather than just the wealthy. Harris advocates for student loan forgiveness to alleviate the financial strain on young adults burdened by educational debt. She recognizes that student loan debt can hinder economic mobility and limit opportunities for individuals to invest in homes or start businesses. By proposing forgiveness for a portion of student loans, particularly for low and middle income borrowers, Harris aims to empower individuals to pursue their goals without the heavy weight of debt. Second, healthcare expansion. Kamala Harris's healthcare expansion policy aims to broaden access to affordable healthcare for all Americans, emphasizing that healthcare is a fundamental right. She believes that everyone should have access to quality medical care without facing overwhelming costs. To achieve this, Harris advocates for measures such as expanding Medicaid, increasing subsidies for health insurance, and supporting public options that provide more affordable choices for individuals and families. Her goal is to reduce the number of uninsured Americans and ensure that healthcare is accessible, particularly for low-income and marginalized communities. Harris aims to improve health outcomes and promote economic stability for families, enabling them to prioritize their well-being without financial hardship. Her comprehensive approach reflects a commitment to creating a more equitable healthcare system that serves the needs of all citizens. Third policy, climate action. Kamala Harris's climate action policy emphasizes the creation of green jobs as a central component of her strategy, combat climate change, and promote economic growth. She believes that transitioning to a clean energy economy can not only help address environmental challenges, but also generate millions of new jobs in renewable energy sectors such as solar, wind, and energy efficiency. Harris advocates for significant investments in green infrastructure and technologies, aiming to provide workers with training and opportunities in emerging industries. By prioritizing green job creation, she seeks to ensure that the shift toward a sustainable economy benefits both the environment and the workforce. Harris supports stricter environmental policies to protect natural resources and address climate change proactively. She advocates for robust regulations aimed at reducing carbon emissions, protecting public lands, and safeguarding clean air and water. Fourth, reproductive rights. Kamala Harris's policy on reproductive rights centers on the commitment to protecting and expanding abortion access as a fundamental aspect of women's health care. She believes that individuals should have the autonomy to make their own reproductive choices without governmental interference.